Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. So yesterday I posted a video talking about how we're in a new season, um, supposed to be fall, autumn, whatever you call it. Looking around, I don't really see um, the leaves changing yet. I don't know if I'm not paying attention or if it's actually not hasn't changed yet. The weather has been changing every day. It's nice because I kind of step out and feel it, or like I'm kind of excited to see what the weather's gonna be, as opposed to saying, okay, this is the season and it's basically the same every day. Um, anyway, um, and then yesterday I mentioned that we're in a new lunar month. Um, and it does have significance in the Islamic quote unquote faith. It's a major event that took place in this month. It's actually a very major event, and it does kind of span into the other world religions or whatever. And it's not that it's a different interpretation, it's just that the event that did take place before the, if you want to call it Islamic month, Islamic lunar month started, or the naming of it, I think, then basically that event that happened before the coming of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when he knew that this event happened, so he had a ritual for that day of the event. I'm only kind of touching on this because it's a whole topic and it has a lot of there's tons of things that you could talk about, and you can go ahead and try to follow maybe some scholars of Islam to learn more about it. Last Friday and the Friday before, you could have tuned it to Sheikh Yunus Kathrada in the Vancouver area. If you just look him up, he talks about this event in detail, and it's actually pretty interesting to understand what it's about. So I've been kind of like testing out YouTube for a while now. For a while. This is the second channel that I'm trying to put together. And out of like all the things that I wanted to talk about or make the theme of the channel, I tried to talk about linguistics only, which is my academic field, but it's repetitive, right? Like I'll just be kind of narrating the same stuff that I learned in school. So the advice that I got, which was very beautiful, was want to maybe try to make a transition from linguistics to language, so that you're kind of talking more about the communication, making it a bit more social for yourself, like for myself and for other people. And I thought that was beautiful advice. It was beautiful, but it was kind of difficult to hear because I didn't want to. I think I didn't want to make that transition. Anyway, So what I'm adding today is today's Wednesday. Um, I'm kind of fascinated by seasons and days and time and whatever, like because sometimes like time goes by a little bit too slow for me. Fast, I'm okay, but when time goes slow, I need to like figure out the significance of this time that I'm in and what it means and what I kind of should be doing and stuff like that. So I like knowing the day of the week and stuff and mentioning it whenever I'm talking. Um, so like I said, it's a Wednesday, and um, Wednesday doesn't really mean anything, I think, in the Islamic faith, not that I know of. Um, but Thursday, on the other hand, is a day that the Prophet ﷺ used to fast. Back in college days, um, shouldn't say back in college days because I'm trying to go back to college, but basically, um, back in college days, there were a lot of people who used to fast on Thursdays, um, you know, to follow like the tradition of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Um, but I feel like at that time, like when we did try to do that, it was not very easy because being in academia or like being in university, being in college, these things are kind of the new style of like learning. They're not very real worldish. So it doesn't really go hand in hand with you know, natural life, if you will. Um, but anyway, if you're able to fast on Thursday, tomorrow, be following the steps of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Um, if you can't fast or whatever, then you are just kind of mindful that Thursday is a day that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to fast in, and like I said, it would make time and days very special, right? Like it's not just a day, it's not just a time. This is not just a waste of time in this life. Like every day has a significance, every moment has a significance, and all of a sudden, you know, your life starts having significance. Not to sound preachy, because some people don't like preachy stuff, but I don't mind advice and people preaching, especially when they're actually following what they're preaching. Anyway, that's that. So, I kind of want to talk about this topic here, marriage versus education. Um, and I want to do it, I want to talk about it from my own experience, which I don't know how long this video is going to go on for. And really, frankly, it doesn't matter because I don't know. As I look through YouTube, there's short, there's long, there's short videos, long videos, whatever, extra long videos. Um, but eventually, I'm hoping to, I don't know. Eventually, I'm gonna try to scale it to whatever I need to scale it to. And short is always better, I think. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. So, where do we start? So I just watched a video that was posted today, or yeah, it was posted today. I don't know if the person and the people were talking today, but um, it's posted today, so it kind of motivated me to open up about this in general. Yeah. Um, I guess I was one of those people who um, basically mm, our family people or upper people did not really talk to me personally about marriage too much. It was the, talks about education, even like not really getting too much like actual talk about education. I feel like when I did become aware in life, I was just in school, right? I was just in regular school. I was not at home. So um, the nonverbal message was to stay in school. And that's just the routine, and that's just what kept happening, right? And then I grew up. And then and then when I did start getting exposed to more real life and kind of becoming more aware of life holistically and what it's like outside, school vicinities or whatever. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but anyway. Um, I guess I started to question, how long am I going to be in school for? Um, so the ideas about marriage, um, they my ideas about marriage were the typical, you know, the typical like, okay, once I finish university, um, I'm just gonna fall into marriage somehow. Um, and when I did meet some people when I was younger, um, if I liked them and they liked me, I immediately did talk about marriage, um, because of how, I guess, moral our culture is about marriage, which is great, right? It's really good to have these values in place and stuff. But again, we were a nonverbal family, so um, I feel like that's not enough as a value. Like it's not enough to give off nonverbal ideas about how moral marriage needs to be, um, but not getting the details of that it's okay to actually think about marriage and kids and all of that stuff. um, and I think what happened in my sort of education was that I continued my education in an area where I like a new area from where I started life and started my schooling and stuff. So the area that I was in talked a lot more about service and, like just being part of a community, all of this stuff. Um, and so money um, started dropping in my list of priorities. I felt like as long as I was being productive, feeling productive, and seeing some kind of result from my productivity, um, the money factor, like the actual money itself, um, was not like a specific goal. Um, yeah. So basically, that started conflicting with, I guess, the familial idea of education, right? Um, and I think what happened there was, okay, it doesn't seem like you're done with your education. You know, even though I worked hard, I worked hard. Um, I worked hard because I saw examples of people working hard. Nothing like too, you know, nothing super different from what was around me. Yeah. So, um, so I could not communicate back because things were nonverbal in the family and whatever the culture. So as I was getting angry that I have finished my education, I'm good, you know, um, and I want to travel and I want to go to places and, do projects related to my field and stuff. However, um, because it didn't seem done to other people, the topic of marriage never came up properly, right? um, Maybe, I don't know, maybe the other thing was that um, I I was kind of, I guess, supportive inside the family and the like immediate community, kind of, I think. Um, at least observant. So what was I gonna say? Then also when I did get bad or like proposals that had bad associations to it, um, you know, because I did learn from really cool people that you just never judge a person, right? Um, but they came along with actions that I didn't like. So that time when all of that stuff happened, I got support to refuse marriages and to push them away and all of that stuff. Um, but on the other hand, there were no immediate family sort of support to find the right person, all of that stuff. And I also did not explicitly talk about that because I was busy. I didn't know how to do it. I also don't really like, I don't know what it's called, but like actively waking up and doing too many things to seek marriage. Maybe I wasn't conditioned to do that. I don't know. Maybe I've seen examples of bad marriages. Um, just kind of like you're just kind of being, right? Like you're not always actively doing stuff and achieving your goals and stuff. um, so I guess what I want to say is eventually I did have a marital experience um, that has a lot of details um, regarding what happened and all of that stuff. But its conclusion and why it ended was because I kind of settled. And even though the person had a lot of like good qualities, this and that, but I tried to ignore the fact that we were very different. And not the kind of different that is exciting. It was the kind of different that we're going to grow apart, you know? We're going to grow apart. Our families are growing apart. And if it did come down to two people, we wouldn't grow together because we don't have the same timeline of goals and stuff. And so that kind of just brings me to my last point, which is this idea between the idea of being and doing, right? And I feel like that's the synchronization that is kind of needed for the longevity of a marriage. Um, right? So sometimes when you're just being inside your family or in the job, like in your job place or whatever, the moments where you're just being, and then the moments where you are doing something, um, they don't always synchronize with the people around you, right? So, and I'm not saying they have to, like, I'm not saying like you, like every single moment you have to be synchronized with your partner or family or roommate or whatever. However, they just need to see your rhythm and be okay with it. Yeah. Um, in my case, I I didn't feel like there was a big problem with the times I was deciding to just be, besides just my partner being very financially focused, way more than me. Um, that was a little bit annoying, like that I'm in a time where I'm just trying to be and relax and this and that. And, you know, they're actively talking about money and not talking about money um, just in their own world, but there was a sense of expectations. There was a sense of expectation at the time I was just being, right? And okay, I don't want to talk too much about this as well, but being now, like this whole idea of just being, I have to like explore this in a lot of detail because um I have to explore this in a lot of detail because I don't have a rhythm that I'm too comfortable with yet. Right? Like I still, like I said before, like to match um the times where there are sort of religious events and stuff to, you know, the practical life of job places and educational places and this and that. So I'm always in someone's expectation, right? So I still don't know if I want to be the type to work all year and then look forward to summertime and completely plugging off and having a vacation or whatever. Um, and I don't know if I want to just be the person who just takes time off here and there when I need it or on a daily basis. That, you know, so I need to explore this better, and I need to see if I basically need to see you know, the actual stakeholders, if that's the right word to use. Um, I need to see what works for the people I do owe something to. Um, and then finally, like I said, um, yeah, so like the doing part, and that part of the time that I was in this marriage, the things that that I did something that completely aggravated this person to a point that I'm still in shock. I'm still sort of whatever, all this stuff, still working through stuff. Um, I don't have a problem personally narrating what happened and what I did and what was okay about it and what was not okay about it. But that's what I mean about what kind of entails a successful marriage in general. I don't think there's a formula, but um, for the other person to see your rhythm of being and doing, and then knowing why you're being at this moment and why you do what you do, right? Because nobody in this time wants dictation. Nobody wants that. And even in my like work, um, and if I'm kind of using a resource that's old and it says, okay, dictation time, I find it very difficult to, if I'm leading a group or this or that, to say, all right, copy what I'm gonna just say. So that's, I don't know, so that's kind of dying, right? I don't know. I'm just saying general things now. Um, but that's the thing. That's what I mean. Like, for people who are educated and are biologically adult, um, for the partner, they're just gonna have to see if they're okay with what you're doing and when you're doing it, and make an effort to understand why you're doing it. And then the new concept that I'm learning now is that the new concept that I'm learning now is that there are things that you individually want to be stubborn about to keep your sense of self. However, you can't be stubborn about the things that are causing you harm. And in my case, meeting the wrong people. That it took long sets of patterns and stuff to notice that I am attracting the wrong people. Right culture, right? I wrote this 2 or 3 days ago. I'm in the right culture. I love my culture. I love this religion and stuff. you know? Um, but the people that I focus on as partners, I kind of get confused between who needs assistance with something as opposed to this person can be a leader of my family, And that's where I'm at. And that's it. I'm done with this video. Not bad. I thought I was going to talk for longer, but this is actually okay. So yeah. So I guess I'm just gonna, like I said, try to focus on maybe talking about the shift from the nuts and bolts of linguistics, and then getting into language, styles, language, problems, things like that. So if I'm listening to a video, if I respond to your video, please do understand that my kind of academic training is to pay attention to your style of talking and tone, this, that, and accent, all the stuff. And I'm not so much focused on your full message. That's something I'm not trained to do academically. Just that's where I just learned from real life. So please take whatever I say or comment with a grain of salt, like they say. And also remember that I am bilingual, so I do kind of like take my time to understand things uh, and stuff like that. Okay, I'm gonna end this here. Okay, and thank you for listening. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.